My husband's ex-wife kept sending our daughter birthday gifts every year, until I found out my husband told her our daughter had died. I married Tom 4 years ago, becoming stepmother to his daughter Ruby from his first marriage. Tom rarely spoke about his ex-wife Sandra, saying only that things had ended badly, and she wasn't part of Ruby's life anymore by her own choice. I never questioned it much, assuming it was simply too painful a topic to revisit. About a year into our marriage, small packages started arriving, addressed to Ruby, always around her birthday. No return address, just a first name signed inside each card. Tom would intercept the mail before I saw much of it, saying it was probably some mix-up or an old family friend who didn't realize they'd lost touch. The packages kept coming every year, always thoughtful, clearly chosen by someone who genuinely knew Ruby's interests, a specific book series she loved, art supplies matching, her favorite color palette. I mentioned to Tom once how strange it was that a mix-up would happen so consistently, hitting exactly the right details year after year. He brushed it off quickly, redirecting the conversation, and I let it go, trusting that if something important needed addressing, he would tell me eventually. Ruby herself never seemed to know about the gifts, since Tom always intercepted them before she saw the packages arrive. Last year, a package arrived while I happened to be home alone, and Tom was at work. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it before setting it aside for him. Inside was a birthday card, handwritten, warm, addressed directly to Ruby with details clearly coming from someone who deeply loved her, followed by a line that made my stomach drop entirely. It read something about how she thought of Ruby every single day since losing her, hoping wherever she was now, she felt loved. Losing her. I sat with that phrase for a long, confused moment before deciding I needed real answers, rather than continuing to accept vague explanations. I searched for the name signed on the card, eventually finding a social media profile matching details that lined up with Tom's rarely mentioned first marriage. The profile clearly belonged to Sandra, his ex-wife, and scrolling through public posts, I found something that stopped me completely. A post from years earlier, grieving the loss of Mead, her daughter, phrased carefully but unmistakably referring to a young girl who was, according to the post's timeline and details, undeniably Ruby. I sat with growing horror as pieces started forming into something I didn't want to believe. I confronted Tom that evening, showing him the card and the social media post side by side. His face went through several expressions before settling into something like resignation. He admitted, quietly at first, then more fully as I pressed further, that after their bitter divorce, he told Sandra that Ruby had passed away in an accident, fabricating the entire story specifically to cut off all contact permanently, believing at the time it was easier than continuing custody battles or shared parenting arrangements he didn't want to manage. I felt sick hearing him explain it so calmly, like it had been a reasonable solution rather than an unthinkable cruelty inflicted on a mother who had spent years genuinely grieving a daughter who was very much alive. The entire time, still sending birthday gifts to someone she believed she'd lost forever. I didn't wait for him to figure out how to fix it himself. I reached out to Sandra directly, as gently as I could manage, explaining everything honestly and immediately. Her reaction on the phone was something I'll never forget, disbelief turning into overwhelming, disorienting relief within minutes. We arranged a careful, gradual reintroduction between Sandra and Ruby, working with a family therapist to help Ruby process learning that her father had lied about something this significant for years. Tom and I are still working through what his decision means for our marriage moving forward, trust being something I'm rebuilding slowly and cautiously now. Sandra and Ruby have a real relationship today, still growing carefully after years stolen by a lie neither of them ever should have had to live through. Some decisions people make in anger reach far beyond the moment they're made in, and this one reached far enough to steal years neither of them will ever fully get back.